Pumpkinhead.
Well, what the hell is it?
Pumpkinhead.
What's that thing right there?
Pumpkinhead.
I'm Tom Woodruff Jr. I'm a co-designer of Pumpkinhead.
I'm Alec Gillis. I'm also one of the co-designers of Pumpkinhead. The year was 1986?
It must have been 80. I think we were shooting in 87, so didn't we start it? Maybe it was all 87. We shot in the summer, didn't we?
Yeah, I think so. And it was
Okay,
exciting.
87.
It was after Monster Squad, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it was exciting for Stan because it was his first directing gig, and we were there to support him. He kind of stepped out of the design process.
Smile at Tracy and just look at Chris.
Okay.
And action! Tom looking good down at Chris. Now look up here at Tracy.
So hi, this is Shane Mahan sitting with John Rosengrant.
Hi, it's John and Shane.
It's the John and Shane Show with Alec and Tom.
My buddies, come on in.
Let's go back in time. Let's not go back in time.
Here we are,
How did anything
hard
get
at
done?
work at the Stan Winston studio.
This is what we did every day. Tink, 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 tink.
What it does show you is that we were very serious young men.
Yeah.
So this is one of the first drawings that I did for the baby version of Pumpkinhead. And what's interesting is that the looseness of all these drawings was all we needed to sell the idea to ourselves.
This was about all we needed to do back then. We were just designing to take it to the next step, which was sculpture. So that's my drawing. I cringe at the perspective on the eyes on that. But it got us to the next step. And I think the final drawing of the head was based on the accumulation of other drawings that were, taking bits and pieces from other. I did the final drawing of the head, and Tom did the final drawing of the body. And then I sculpted the head, and then you sculpted the body with John?
With John.
Right. I think this is, I think John is opening up a clay press.
There was a version of the Pumpkinhead at the end of the movie where it needed to incorporate some of Lance Hendrickson's features into it. And that's something that I worked on. Shane is working on that intermediate stage Pumpkinhead, and here's Alec on
I think I just returned from Predator during this period, or maybe it was right before I left. I can't remember.
No, I think you came back at that point.
And this is me, this is Tom, because I was Pumpkinhead. This is our trash bag version test. And the idea is to really show the silhouette, because silhouette is what design's all about. When we're doing monster stuff, that's the biggest thing. More important than any detail is the silhouette of the creature. So if we cover the performer in black leotards and we have a bunch of black built-up foam and black plastic over the head, we can really evaluate how the shapes work and how the shapes move when the performer is in motion. This was an early test of the supports, the leg extensions, which we never really intended for them to be weight supporting, that I'd really be able to walk around on two legs. There was always the idea that we would have some kind of a rigging system to take the weight off, because we didn't want to build them up so big that we made the legs bulky in order to hold the weight. We wanted to keep everything really thin and really sleek in design. And here's some foam pieces, the foam skins over top of the metal, and you could see it wasn't real heavy. This is also another harness test we were doing with the foam-covered legs.
And Tom's uncovered legs. He's in his Daisy Dukes. I'm in the background wearing more appropriately length shorts.
You
it's
can kind of
actually
see
pretty
the
effective.
progression of it, how it has an organic feel and flow.
Yeah.
And this is Dave Nelson making his cameo appearance. He was the key mechanic on this, and he came up with some really nice articulated insert hands,
Yeah.
as you can see.
Of course, those would be used for shots when Tom's hands in the suit were just posable. There were never articulated hands in the wearable suit.
There was enough design aspects of the movie that each of us felt like we had a fair contribution to it because of the different stages of Pumpkinhead.
People are going to look at these pictures of the painting. It's so theatrical, but you can tell this is a flash. A lot of these are flash photographs, so they really blanch everything out. Otherwise, you're going to think, what the hell? The paintings are so rough.
Here it is in raw foam. So once it all came out raw foam, we were anxious to get it on Tom, have him start moving around and check it. But you can see the progression from the garbage bag test to here, where it's starting to feel like something.
The hole in the throat is actually where Tom, that's his eyes, that's where he sees.
Yeah, the neck, he's seeing out. So this is the
So it's
head is
disguised
on
in
top of his head.
Which again was a clever hiding place, which we had learned from Aliens, actually, where the head sat on top of the actor's head, and the neck is where the hiding place where the eyes were.
You can really see it starting to come to life. Very dynamic at this point.
Yeah.
Here we are, painting away.
I remember John was quite a workhorse when it came to painting, cranking out heads and bodies and so on. I think I painted the head and the neck in about the same amount of time that John did a lot of painting on hands. Tom was painting on bodies as well.
This is the underskull for the baby version, that just the only mechanization it had were the brows and the eyeballs and the open and closed jaw.
Mechanic Steve
Boulder.
James adding weight to the head. Stage 3?
2, I think that's a stage 2. Shane painting away.
Makeups. Were those makeups, were they transition makeups on him, or were those just faces to go on?
No, I think those were some kind of transitional makeups. I'm not sure that we
The eyes
used
are
those.
cool.
I ended up painting those eyes.
That's the Lance
You can
face.
kind of see a little bit of the Lance Hendrickson vibe in there. The whole paint scheme of this thing was to kind of we found some things in a forensic medicine
Yeah,
book
just kind of being outdoors.
that kind of dead, decaying flesh look, and that was the idea behind it. We wanted to make sure it was very opposite of Alien or Aliens with the
not
black,
dark, not black.
very different from that. Starting to test out the mechanisms here.
We had varying thicknesses in the skin to kind of create the panther-like look, so that the wrinkles that were sculpted in would get accentuated when the creature snarled.
We also created for parts of the mechanism, like the cheeks and the brows, instead of just having hard shells like you would normally do, we created like polyfoam sections, so they would actually compress a little bit when they were moving the skin, so you wouldn't see hard edges.
I think Shane and Richard came back off of Predator, and Tom, Alec, and myself had gotten started ahead of before they got back. Shane was also heavily involved with the witch makeup.
Yeah, I jumped off of all the creature stuff and sketched up the witch and started her process, which was time consuming. So as the guys were finishing the suits, I was finishing her.
I don't think we realized that Pumpkinhead would become the cult favorite that it became. We were just kind of doing what was fun, and that made it even more rewarding when the film did well for Stan, and everybody remembers Pumpkinhead.
People always ask us what our favorite monster was, and you always give them the answer, well, that's like trying to pick your favorite child, but really, my favorite child is Pumpkinhead.
Just don't tell the other kids that. This is Tom and Alec for the Stan Winston School of Character Art, saying thanks for watching.
Hey, I'm John Rosengrant. Keep your eyes peeled for more to come.
I'm Shane Mahan. Thanks very much.